Here's a great example of this from the Gospel of John, chapter 9. I want to read it because the story has principles in it that will help us see everyone and everything and every situation differently. It says this: Jesus is walking along and he saw a man who had been blind from birth. Rabbi, his disciples asked him, "Why was this man born blind? Was it because of his own sins or his parents' sins?" "It was not because of his sins or his parents' sins," Jesus answered. "This happened so the power of God could be seen in him. We must quickly carry out the tasks assigned us by the one who sent us." Verse 6 says, "Then he spit on the ground, made mud with the saliva, and spread the mud over the blind man's eyes. He told him, 'Go wash yourself in the pool of Siloam.' And Siloam means sent. So the man went and washed and came back seeing." The first frame of this situation are the disciples asking Jesus this question: whose fault is it? We can spend a lot of time on this question. Whose fault is it? We can spend all of our energy and time looking for blame. And this is a normal response to suffering or darkness or anything that makes us uncomfortable. But here's the thing Jesus understands, and what I think we should know: it won't get us anywhere. In this particular situation, the disciples are on the outskirts of a city where a man is begging because he's born blind. And they ask this question: who sinned, this man or his parents? In other words, whose fault is this? Now, this is in keeping with their social and religious framework. Someone has got to be blamed for this kind of suffering. The reality is that there is blame to go around. If we wanted to, we could spend this whole teaching series on who is to blame for how the relationships between women and men have been eroding for generations. Is it men's fault? Yes. Is it culture's fault? Yes. Is it Eve's fault? Sure. Is it the devil? Yes. Now, to be sure, it will be important for reconciliation for people to take responsibility for what they've done or haven't done that has injured and contributed to the state of affairs. But to simply think that finding blame might be an answer to our dilemma is naive at best. It can be a very big and easy trap to fall into. But even if we answer all the blame questions, where will we be? We'll be in the exact same place. We'll still be at the side of the road with a blind guy. My experience tells me that we choose to find fault with current situations when we want to escape responsibility to change them. But Jesus refuses this framework. This is what he says: this is not his fault or his parents. This has happened so the glory or the power or the light of God might be seen in him. What? Jesus absolutely reframes the situation. This is no longer about finding blame. Now it's about looking for opportunity. Instead of why me or why this, it moves to a what now. And this is a massive and important shift to make in our lives. Finding where you're located on this map of change is not bad news, although an honest assessment will be helpful and somewhat painful. It's not the ending place, it's the starting place. The question that dominates us is, so what now? How might the power of God be seen in the situation between men and women right now? Far from escaping the reality of the situation, this is a proper evaluation of where we find ourselves. We're at the side of a road where a lot of women and girls find themselves excluded from boardrooms and church platforms and leadership teams, unable to really choose their own future. Right now, all the research tells us that a woman's self-confidence peaks at 9 years old. Think about that. When you hear that, you might think to yourself, whose fault is it? And we could make a long list. Puberty, culture, advertisers, male figures, abusive or dismissive behaviors, systems of exclusion, toy makers who use gender biases to market toys that determine outcomes for our children, competitive peers, mean girls. The list goes on and on and on. But what if we asked what God might want to do right now? What if we started to take this opportunity, as horrible as it is, to change things, to look for ways to partner with God in helping change the outcome for the next generation?